at the embassy and with other donor partners, because it can mean multiple things. I think the bottom line, obviously, is sustainability of results. Take over. Donor funding comes in cycles. We support partners. The donor funding ends. But if key to any sort of work around SRHR in Liberia. So I think I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you very much. So all levels, working with community structure, how can community people take ownership of the projects that we carry to them, and in that these projects are sustained?
Okay, this is a good question, and I think when I was trying to figure out how to answer it, I was trying to figure out how to answer it in a way that's, diplomatic, but also government knows the needs, owns the priorities, and can guide donor funding. It isn't very easy, especially for like a bilateral donor, to sort of say, with its own national priorities. And when I say its own national priorities, I mean the priorities of the government that is giving it the funding. For instance, through the AAID, through some of the coordination mechanisms that they have established at national level to say, this work is getting done, how can you support it? Shrinking, the resource space is shrinking, and there is going to be a need for thinking differently about what it means to sustain the results that we have maybe had a lot of resources and we didn't really need to think about.
Local ownership. She talked about local funding. She also talked about what we need as a country. The government should be able to understand. And okay, we will go to Vero. Vero, how do we ensure
with our donors and partners, and we have to do it in John Mandoa. Where is Mandoa? Is Mandoa in the room? Yeah, I enjoy you, Mandoa. You brought it to our level. Key populations, even for those who are living in rural areas. We talk about females because in our culture, then there, young girls or women voices were not heard. But if we do not, community her very friend. So if we don't bring them on board, if we are developing a policy document, they have to be a part of it. If we are implementing workshop, they can also facilitate for sessions like.
Thank you very much. So leaving no one behind, involving everyone, the marginalized groups, rural women.
On their hats and go into the deepest of the place and sell and make money as this is. It is very important that part from supply side and the other part for the people to actually understand what value that these private sector providers and business not have the resources to spare on this. Some people are really struggling to eat. Some people are saving that money. Sometimes that one is lingering in your home for 35, 36, 40, 45 years. So that's really expensive, and your time and you're not getting the money, these people will go out of business. And in turn from that, the burden on the public health sector will be very much released, and the public health sector can actually distribute the resources that they need to the people that are actually in need, to the facilities that are actually in need. So that would
the things that we is also a self-care investment, let's say. But I also think that maybe that is your role in terms of sort of. I think actually, to be honest, our funding has increased, and in fact, in the case of Sweden, our funding has gone down. So I think the risks are the gains that so many speakers take our foot off the necks of the people who are responsible for upholding our rights. And I do think that we are now going into an area where we're looking at different ways of funding, different ways of getting part of donors. We have to maybe I shouldn't say the quiet part out loud. People, you are not the leaders of tomorrow, you are the leaders of today. But in order for you to be leaders of today, you have to see progress when it comes to SRHR.
So we don't have much time on our hands. We can take just 2 questions from the audience and then we close. If you have questions.
You get a question because she said 3. Jab walk in front of the line.
I'm Thomas. Not many young people know about it. Even the people with disability, they don't even know about it. They don't even know about it. So what strategy do you find? What strategy do you find? You go to the health sector.
Good afternoon. Most of what I've heard or seen over the time, not just for this conference, is, see, for me, usually when I advocate, I usually talk about positive masculinity because we as boys, what are some mechanisms that you are putting in place to empower these young boys or these males to better advocate or to provide positive masculinity for each and every boy here today in this?
Improve SRHR upcoming real bureau.
Thank you. She said 3.
Get involved is to engage our stakeholders. Most times we think about advocacy as just parliament or legislature. Understand what it is and send your voice. It could be through a text message, it could be through a paper crossing, or you could ask decisions when they are informed. They make the right decision. We assume that people do know because they are in certain capacity or occupy a certain position, but it is now we have to engage them, talk to them, go to them and talk to them and say that it is important that we be.
The private partnership.
So, yes, to respond to that question, we're taking the services meant for the grassroots. So, how the private stand for some of the luxuries. Then, if the private sector development comes in, blending, particularly if we're talking about healthcare, blending healthcare sharing. If you're seeing that, if you know that these people are coming in, if you know that your representative's family is coming in, I started practicing also. The second one is to make it easily accessible is the task shifting for some of the features like AN care to private and nearest facilities. So you are the next generation. You are directly together. Everything starts from home. You want to decorate your hair, do it, no problem. You want to wear something different? Yes, you can. And if the man from home starts...
Come to the end of this portion. Just
From my perspective, that we give to our partners, a lot of the partners are focusing on girls and young women, but as also people who earn their rights and have to learn how to exercise their responsibilities. I'll close there.
thank you. Your closing statement, please.
KPS, we have to also make sure we equitably distribute our resources, especially not leaving out the rural people. They are very able to take on whatever we have learned to provide quality.
It is a world where every child is wanted.
So much. So while the panelists are getting set for the group picture, so we'd like to start diving into the next session that has to do with Nah, don't do that. SRHR. That's better. So you want to stand? Okay, thank you very much.
So we understand that it's late, we're managing time, but we really appreciate it if we can all just settle down and have powerhouse discussion with 2 very, very influential people around the work that we do. First, I would like to ask them to do a quick round.
Yeah, as I said, I'm Madi Biai. I'm UNFPA representative in Liberia. Okay, I got it. I'm coming from very well. For example, for us at UNFPA, we make a clear distinction between, for example, when we talk about what is in the laws, just, for example, a checklist of laws that were approved or policies that was achieved, but it will be a kind of state of being of the person. So that's actually the way we see it, and it means that the daily reality becomes the kind of what we call sometimes in our the language the generic or invisible fabric of her life, her proper life. So that's important. But how we can explain that, for example, in the daily reality, in practice, the reality we live. I understand very much those things. But it took me time to discuss some of those things. Even don't talk about those things to them. So that's why I'm saying that that knowledge to understand the pressure come from. You can say no to unwanted sexual advances, for example. Sometimes they can be so indirect. That's important. The girl, that rural girl, should be not only supported by her community, but also by the law. So I can go on and on, but I think what is also important and the predetermined path, for example, marriage, motherhood, or marriage or something like that. She has to see the future as a landscape of many possibilities, many opportunities the girl can harness, for example, during her life. So I believe these are extremely important. So I think that's respond to part of our cultural understanding, cultural beliefs. These sometimes is not about law to move them faster. There is faster. There is some work. I think that's one thing important. Be it for all of us, because it's cross-cut all the sectors. I mean, even from leaders till the communities and the population on the ground. Another point is, I would say, to catalyze, the hurt in our mind alone. Because those barriers are mostly cultural, but we can engage also. I'm not sure if most of the people will say how they will behave, but sometimes they disappear. Yeah. They run from their responsibility as a father, and so it your NGO amplifying community-led dialogues, because that's extremely important also to have that, which engage not only the leaders, religious leaders, traditional leaders, community leaders, and all those people who are, and the youth who advocates also can be engaged, so that education.
Yes.
Yeah, so education.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the key. At school and out of school in the communities. Our school is extremely important, not only for the
I'll turn to Dr. I just have to say this. We understand that you have an urgent meeting. To the next question, since we're managing time. Our first question is around, he already alluded to it, that laws alone cannot resolve the challenges that we're facing. So how can we ensure that the ban, let's say, example on FGM in Liberia?
Different question. Let me just say that because of the, hey everybody, y'all know who I am? All right, days on. I think the only thing that I probably worked for the school board, so every step of the way she's involved in children's lives. I know Sister Nwai talked about being rural. I'm from a very rural part. To biology, took my mother's life science class, so she was everybody's comprehensive sexuality educator. So everybody grew up in a house where talking about our bodies, my sister, myself, my brother, talking about our bodies. In terms of our conversation around centering equity, power, liberation, and this particular piece about bodily autonomy and FGM in the policy space, I think it's first important to understand what we mean when we say centering equity. Vitamin D, so you need milk, right? So I was talking about even earlier. So in the context of FGM, it cannot just be in the law. And that can go both ways, good and bad, harmful and helpful, in a lot of ways when you look at it from all the sides. So if we were going predominantly in many societies, younger, what am I prepared to do? Because let's say I agree, we need to move forward in progress. Measure, why is this a critical practice? And why must it be done to me, right? We haven't addressed the idea of what parents, she could say it better than I could because I did not grow up in a community or in a society where this is a practice, although about culture, and we can have an honest, courageous conversation about what parts of our culture no longer serve our people.
So, Councillor Harris, will come to you. As the previous panelists put it, we have different stakeholders around that benefit needed to shift these dynamics and ensure that communities themselves become champions. What approaches are needed to ensure that they...
To reimagine that, to be able to protect the rights of others, the rights of women, the rights of girls, marginalized communities, by creating the changes that are needed, the changes that they need that are particular to them in their own situation, in their unique context. So FGM is seeing maybe looks like from the community level to the national level and create safe spaces so that all those around the issues, whether generations to come. So I'll just give a short scenario. I know the issue around legal reforms is oppressive, forced. We know the issue of consent is there, and it's there with children. So parents, family members decide to take age children. But how can a group of people decide that they're going to take another grown woman, forcefully into, a practice where a maid to bring back the living body of the young woman who was involved with, to ensure people have justice, that their rights are protected at different levels, and at the same time, where we protect the social aspect.
To lunch as well. So quick closing remarks. Do you have a microphone? Yes. We'll take a quick closing remarks from each
of the adolescent girl, and start with education. That's what you will hear, education. But in countries also, I think Liberia cannot be an exception. If we go through statistics of dropout, Usually, 7 years ago, when we were asking what is the reason, they will talk about cultural. I have been always surprised that I'm the first one talking to them about this because their mothers, as I said, which are my sisters. Of that, you will see, because this is the fight we have to do. This is the fight we have to do, and we will fight together with that. I don't know how things are here. I said I have 3 weeks. Same time, we are doing other things which undermine the prosperity of the country. Particularly, I mean, this development inclusive.
What mechanisms do you already have where boys and men are gathered, where they're dealing with their issues in themselves, that there are spaces where they already gather where none of this is a part of their conversation? So that's the thing where, from an equitable standpoint, they still get the thing, but they get the thing they need where to get it right. I just don't. I don't trust the schools to get it right because this is a community issue in those communities or nearby where they can get that conversation for themselves. That's not effective in continuing the development of people's understanding of their own that are equitable based on what people need.
Thank you. Madam Fastia Harris.
And I would just add to the previous comments by saying we need to ensure that we are building strong network at all levels. People must bring to the table what the issues are and ways to resolve those issues and how they can participate. Strategy as legal people on how to tackle the case, or to the social worker on how to provide care for a young woman who was forcefully taken into the bush. So because our rights can wait.
Thank you. A big round of applause to our panelists. Education is key. We don't trust the schools alone with CSC. We're taking it to the communities, and our rights can wait. Thank you all.
Thank you so much to our panelists. So after lunch, we're not coming back here. Only some of us. There are breakup sessions. We'll be in different rooms. So we have young people leading the way, innovation.